Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is having an amazing morning so far. Hope yesterday was great. We are back with another episode of Morning Inspiration with Friends. And I am Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. So today I wanted to talk about something that happened. Well, the solution, the end product happened yesterday. And y'all hear me talk about this quite often, right? So when I talk about purpose, helping people to find their purpose, and one of the things that I always encourage people to do is reflect back on the things that people have told you that you were good at, or the things that they can see you doing. Right? Y'all heard me say that. If you ever heard me say that before, definitely drop a one in the comment. And it's so accurate. Like, I mean, I've been a witness to it from how I entered higher education. Um, it was my best friend that kept on tapping and nudging. You should do this. You should do it. And I'm like, I was fighting it, resistance, everything. And my best friend just kept on. And it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened, right? She saw a gift in me in a time of need. And a lot of times that's really what ends up happening, right? There's a problem and you're talking to people, and those people are bringing up solutions that they think will be good for you to do. And I think so often we just don't take heed to that. We don't believe it. Like why would I want to do that? You might want to take inventory, right? And so what recently happened, speaking to a good friend, um, they were sharing something that they wanted to do, and they were like, I'm gonna have to just hire you to do this when I'm ready. And I'm like, now it is something that I do professionally. It's within technology, so it's not like it's something that I'm not doing or something that I'm not, that I'm not familiar with. But they were like, no, like I think you should really tap into this. You know, I could definitely use your help. And so I let that thought like kind of like resonate. I didn't say no, but I didn't say yes, but I let it resonate. And for those of you that don't know, in 2020, I did start my business officially. My It's called Purposeful Training and E-learning, Purposeful Training and E-learning Consulting. And I started that in 2020 due to the demand that I saw, faculty members that was struggling to transition from in person to online. And so while I was getting like contracts and to help other schools, I also knew that many institutions were not going to have the resources to quickly hire the people that they needed. And then I also knew that there was going to be some faculty who were going to take ownership and were going to make that investment in themselves. And so that's when I started my business in 2020. So actually, it's the LLC. I did that in 2020. But I really haven't put a lot of time into it within the last 2 years, since I moved to Tulsa. So that conversation with that friend about 2 or 3 weeks ago really just like tapped something in me. And last week, I decided to set up a profile on Upwork, UPWORK. And so Upwork is a place where freelancers, go. And I mean, there's people out here getting paid $3 an hour to do something. There's people out here getting paid thousands of dollars to do things, right? So you have so many institutions that are using it, just to find like those first freelancers that are out here putting out their time and their work, for contracts. And so I did that. One person reached out to me like instantly, and I was just like, I was excited. I actually just sent the follow up on Monday. Haven't heard anything, but that would have been like a really quick, easy project because it's like very simple what I do on a day to day basis. And so then the other day, 2 days ago, Monday again, I saw another posting, and it seems interesting. And I put, you have to submit a proposal. Sometimes they do have people that was offer you an invite, but in this particular case, I submitted my proposal because I was like, look, you got to start building your clientele on Upwork so you can start building your portfolio, and that's kind of help to get your name out there a little bit more as far as at least just that platform. And so I did that and submitted my proposal and got an email, was invited to have a conversation slash interview, and was hired yesterday. So I got a contract. And after that, I was so thankful because I had a really rough day yesterday. And so I reached out to my friend and I was just like, I thanked her because I was just like, it was because of her, that little nudge, that little tap that she pushed 2 or 3 weeks ago, um, led me to saying, okay, it's time to put back, right? Everything doesn't have to be Tanisha doing everything. I want to get back into training, but I also want to start to develop the next people who are going to be those facilitators, those trainers. I want to, help people to learn how to use these technologies so that they can support individuals. Um, I don't have a degree in IT, right? Some people go the traditional route. If you follow me, I don't do anything traditionally. I don't have a degree in IT, but I worked in IT since 2005. That was my first job. It was in backup operations in the IT department. So when you just have like a natural gift to learn how to quickly learn something, right? It's just something that you can do, right? Everyone doesn't have to go that traditional route. And getting that, so it just made me think about why, when I have those conversations about purpose, people get really frustrated with me, like, oh, you always talk about purpose, always talking about purpose. But these are the reasons why we need to talk about this, because there are so many people out here who are stuck. They're stuck, and they're stuck mentally, right? They're not really physically stuck. They're stuck mentally because they can't see, right, what they're good at. They can't see what other people can see. And the one thing that I want us to remember, the first thing is that sometimes externally, everyone is going to notice what you're doing, right? They're going to notice it, they're going to see it, they're going to tap, it's going to be so easy for them to identify it before you internally. And so I want you to pay attention to that, because when we pay attention to, and again, and it's not always going to be negative. And I think that's what a lot of people fear. Well, I don't want to take people's opinion because we was raised, don't take people's opinion. No, you have to start to identify who are your wise counsel, right? First thing that you need to do, who are my wise counsel? Who are the people that I can truly talk to? Whether it's a therapist, whether it's a coach, whether it's a friend, a confidant, there's so many different people. But once you start to identify those wise counsel, this is where you can start to lean in a little bit to what they're telling you, right? And so when you have those people and they start to give you that insight of the things that they can see you doing, don't look at it as they're trying to dictate and control your life. They're trying to help you to identify the strengths that you don't see in yourself, right? So often people are going to notice those strengths before you ever do. So this is why oftentimes, like I said, when I didn't start teaching until 2010. My best friend started having conversations with me in 2009 about, why don't you start teaching? Like, why don't you become a teacher? Why don't you become an adjunct? Why don't you become a faculty member? She started this conversation in 2009, and I kept on blocking it, right? So this is the reason why, right? When you start hearing people say these things, right? This is why one of the first things I have people do um, when they're working with me is like, what do people normally say you're good at? Especially when we're having a conversation about this. What do people normally say you're good at? What do they call on you for? That is something that many people don't pay attention to. Because right there, I'm telling you, you will find the gold. You'll find the golden ticket within that conversation. Those things that those people keep telling you, the things that those people keep saying, look, girl, you better go ahead. You're great at this. You're amazing at this. You need to do it this way. Pay attention to those conversations, because it is something that you're going to really need and is going to resonate. And I don't want you to miss out on that opportunity, right? So think about what those gifts are often being highlighted that other people are always telling you. The second thing is that don't let your pride or your fear block your ears, right? So often we have so much pride or we have so much fear. And I think a lot of people, for most people, it's really fear, right? It's like, why would I, I'm afraid to do that. This is not something I'm good at. I know for me, I was very afraid to become a teacher because for many years I kept telling myself that I didn't like kids, I didn't like people. So why would I want to be around them? Like, I really, the way that I was living in my early 20s, you would have thought I would have became an accountant and I would have been sitting in somebody's room by myself just pushing numbers, right? But I never wanted to do that, right? That was never something that was interesting to me. So I know that it might have been pride for me to be like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, girl, Bob, right? But the wise counsel is not always gonna give you the information that's going to be packaged up pretty, and it's not going to, it give you all this excitement because you have that fear. And so what I want you to do is start to relax, because again, if this is wise counsel, these are the people that you truly trust, that you truly believe, that have amazing insight. They may not be living perfect lives, but again, sometimes God is going to send whomever to give you these little pushes, right? Especially if He needs for you to do that. I know the reason why I finally gave in to teaching, or at least applying to positions, was because I got rejected from McDonald's. When McDonald's told me that they would not hire me to work part time, that was the push that I needed to be like, you know what? I done tried everything. This is when downtown Brooklyn was building Atlantic Terminal Mall, and I had applied to Target, to Macy's. I mean, I was trying to find anything overnight, right? Because I needed extra money. And when McDonald's said no, it was like, girl, just go ahead and just try, because you're literally, and this is me with a master's. I'm like, I need the money, right? And that's when I finally. So I had to eventually get to that point and understand, like, God was blocking all those doors. He was giving out all of those no's so that the information that the wise counsel at that time was providing to me, that it was going to come forth. I'm telling y'all, do not let your pride, do not let this fear that is stopping you, especially if you're in a season of need. If you are in a season of need and people are speaking to you and they're giving you these things, because a lot of times it's like people feel like, oh, I'm not asking for no help. Like, I don't need you to tell me what I should be doing, but I want you to lean and to listen to that, because there's something amazing that's happening there, right? So please make sure that you are relaxing, that you are releasing. You're not letting that fear to sabotage what could be the best thing that's going to be for you, right? So then the last thing is that sometimes it's like, we have to just act on confirmed suggestions, right? If you have 5 people suggesting the same thing to you, then you need to take heed to that. If you have 5 people telling you the same thing, you need to take heed to that, right? Now, 2009 wasn't the first time that I heard that I should become a teacher. It wasn't. Mm-mm. I heard it in 2001 in my freshman seminar class when we had to do a personality assessment. I heard it there. I heard it when I was in elementary school. Um, I heard it in middle school because I was actually there was the I don't even know the school was still there, but in New York City we had a school called Richard R. Green School of Teaching. It might still be around, but I was going to go to that school, and the reason why I didn't go to that school was because it had 7 floors and it had no elevator, and I had asthma. Well, I still have asthma, and I was like, I'm not doing that. My mother was like, yeah, we're not doing that. So this wasn't the first time, although it might not have been back to back to back. But this was a confirmed suggestion that people kept on confirming and kept on suggesting to me. I finally had to say yes, right? I finally had to lean in and say, okay, if this idea keeps showing up from different people at different times in my life, it might be something I really need to consider, and it might be the divine guidance that I'm looking for, right? So I want you to think about that. What is some of the divine guidance that you are looking for, right? Or that you are literally out here constantly receiving? as always, I'm gonna give you a little prompt. So, what what reoccurring suggestions or affirmations have I heard from people lately? Could they be pointing me towards my next move? That's what I want you to think about. There's something that's reoccurring, something that keeps coming up, something that just people just keep seeing in you. They keep tapping, they keep talking, they keep saying, you know what, Tanisha, I think you should do this. You know what, Tanisha, I think you should do that. They keep on, keep on, keep on. And you're just like, mm-mm. But if it's something that you need, I need you to ask yourself, could this be the thing that's going to help me get to the next phase? Is this going to lead to the next opportunity? Is this going to open up the doors that I've been praying about? That's what I want you to think about. I want you to put that kind of focal point. And as always, I always tell y'all, anytime that you're ready to take that next step and saying, you know what, Tanisha, I'm ready. I'm ready to book. I need to talk to you. I need to get on your calendar. I'm ready to identify what my purpose is. I don't know what my life is supposed to look like next. I'm dropping the link right now for you to book a discovery call. It's a free call. Um, that will help you to determine if this is something that you're ready to move forward with as far as working with me and taking those next steps. But if you go into the chat, you'll be able to see that link and get on my calendar. And I'm telling you, that's going to be one of the best decisions that you're ever going to make, because it's you, if especially if you're in that point in your life where people keep telling you the same things and you're just not ready to listen, or it's just not something that you're ready to process. Let's process that together. Let's get you to that point so that you can receive this and that you can truly walk in it. Because if it's something that God needs for you to do, if it's something that you're purposed to do, that means that there's an audience and there's people out there that are waiting for you to tap into it so that you can go out there and do it, so that you can help them. And no matter how that looks, whether it's writing a book, teaching, starting a business, moving to a new location, selling water bottles somewhere. It's so many different things and so many different avenues that our lives can go, but many people don't see those things. And this is why they do need a strategist to help them to kind of like navigate that out and put that out there. So I am definitely here to encourage you to take those steps. But again, you can start with just that first question that I have up here. It's actually two questions, right? So these are two questions that I want you to sit and I want you to think about. What are the gifts that other people keep continuously telling you? And again, don't think about, oh, they only heard one person say it in the last month. No, you heard me say it. I've been hearing about me being a teacher since I was in elementary school, and I have been ignoring this thing for years. And in 2010 was when I finally said, okay, let me just do something about this. Let me at least attempt, right? Attempt it. So it's not going to be something, don't only think about within the last year. Well, only 3 people told me in the last year. Only one person told me in the last. No, think about, because some of you have heard these things over and over. Some of you have had dreams about this, and you just don't have the belief system, right? You're not believing in yourself. You don't think that you have the capability. But where other people are seeing it, other people see those strengths. So I want you to believe that, and I want you to tap into that, because that's where your next breakthrough can literally be. The things that's going to bring you joy, things that's going to get you excited. Trust me, 2010, I was working somewhere. I wasn't making any money, and I hated my job. They had me working these ridiculous hours. It was just insane. And I was just like, why? And when I started teaching, the first class that I taught, I'll never forget this. It was Introduction to Computers. It was a morning class. And when I finished teaching that class, I just sat down and I just felt so relieved. It was just like, this actually is fun. Like, I enjoy this. And it made me want to do it more. And that's when I decided to go full time and start looking for a full-time teaching position, which I did end up landing in 2011. So you just got to go out there, right? Believe those gifts that people are telling you. They're telling you something good, right? And if you're ready to filter through that and you want to have a conversation with me, get on my calendar, right? This is a total free discovery call. And if this is a good match for us to work together, then we'll move forward in that direction. But I want all of us to tap into our purpose and our gifts. So it's your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Be well, and share this message with somebody. They need it, okay? I'll talk to y'all soon. See y'all tomorrow.